the truth of who you are. March 4, 2014. Greetings, dear ones. Today we wish to speak to you about your perceptions of who you are. As you continue forward upon the path of living from your hearts, the true nature of who you are will become clearer to you. There is so much that has been kept from you and that you have forgotten about the truth of who you are. There is the saying on your planet that we are very fond of. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. At the core of this statement is the beautiful truth of who you really are. We know that when you go to the quiet place of contemplation and meditation, that you can feel the truth in this statement. From where we stand, we see you as vibrational beings of love and light, and your physical appearance is quite secondary to your true identity. From our perspective, you are merely another aspect of the One. We know that for many of you this is an ideal way of thinking of yourselves, and that many of you strive to relate to one another in this way, and yet there is still so much importance placed upon your physical representations. We understand that upon your planet and in your earthly experience, that the color of your skin and your eyes and your hair, the characteristics that define your gender and your sexuality, the superficial details that decide what layer of society you live within, and the perception of the power or influence that is available to you because of those characteristics have been deemed as very important. In some cases they have even meant the difference between living or dying. Yet as you continue to discover your true nature, you will begin to see the irrelevance of these details and see that they truly only have importance and influence upon you because you perceive that they do. The purpose of these perceived differences has only been important as they are in place to teach the ultimate lesson that any being can learn. All are connected, all are truly one, and the only inequalities that exist are the ones that are kept alive through the adherence to the perception of those inequalities. A time is coming in the very near future when you will begin to see that you truly are all one family living on one planet in one of many universes, and in a reality that is but one of many different realities. There is a day and a time that we can see very clearly that you will soon begin to understand that your perceived physical differences have been used against you to keep the illusion of separation in the forefront of your perception. It is a very powerful thing to believe that because one person has skin color or gender or religious affiliation that is different than another, means that they are somehow more or less powerful. We understand that much history has been written based upon these perceived differences, and yet we encourage you to begin to feel your way past these physical differences. If you could see yourselves from our perspective, you would see that the most important things are your individual vibrations of love and light that contribute to the larger, collective vibrations of love and light. These truly are the only things that matter. For in the end, the only differences that there are the ones that you insist upon perpetuating by your repetition of your history. We know that you are not alone in this, and that there are certain groups that rely upon you recounting the horrors of one group's offense against another based solely upon physical differences. And yet, as you continue to repeat and reread and reactivate and relive these events, as you continue to focus upon the differences that you perceive, and buy into the fallacy that your physical traits mean anything in the grand scheme of things, you only serve to hold the barriers of those illusions in place. We find it so curious to see how easily you are seduced into reliving these events over and over. We judge you not for this, for it is understandable that when the vibrational frequency of these events is kept alive by so many continuing to focus upon them, it is very easy to make the choice to continue to tap into them. So many say they long for a day when all people on the planet are equal, and then in the same breath they keep repeating the history that has kept the illusion of separation in place. So many long to beat the drums of love and unity, and yet they continue to focus upon the vibrations of violence and oppression. Regardless of when these events occurred in your timeline of history, when you focus upon them in your physical now, you bring the same vibrations of separation and injustice into the present moment. We wish not to minimize the events that have seemed so horrific and unjust upon your planet. Yet we remind you that all comes from Source and all are truly connected. There is no other source of life than Source. You have all chosen to play the roles that you are playing so that you could learn the lessons you most wanted to learn. Do you hear us, dear ones? Everyone has chosen to incarnate into the physical reality that they now inhabit. Each soul has, with great excitement and love, chosen to dive into the physical vessel that they now inhabit because they knew that this was the most loving and effective way to learn the lessons that needed to be learned. Even the ones who you perceive as oppressors have chosen to play the role of oppressor. For how can one learn the lesson of empowering themselves by deciding to take their future and their fate back into their own hands if there was not someone playing the role of the one who was attempting to withhold their power from them? If, within the 3D reality of the earth play, there was nothing to overcome, then there would be no cause for triumph or victory. When you can begin to see that every single action in life began with an individual choice, you can begin to see that every single action in life is but another way for all souls to make it to the top of the mountain. A choir is only made up of a collection of individuals who decided to come together and sing together. Just as a movement or a revolution is made up of a collection of individuals who decided that they wanted to experience something new. Something born of love and equality. These visions of a world coexisting peacefully from a place of love and compassion are not as difficult to achieve as you have been led to believe. It only takes one step to start a journey and one note to start a song. It only takes one seed to start a garden and a single tree to begin a forest. There are some who again have chosen to incarnate as the ones who will try to keep people separate and afraid, but their power is only as great as those who they would try to oppress allow it to be. It can only begin to shift when one person at a time decides to build something new. You cannot start a journey in a new direction by continuing to look over your shoulder and speak about where you have been. That new journey can only begin through the focused intention of the heart that wants to experience freedom and joy for themselves first and then for all. You cannot keep yourself locked in fear and oppression and expect to provide anything different than that for those that you wish to help. We understand that you have been taught to think that justice will eventually be served by those who have withheld it. But do you not see that if a soul has chosen to play the part of the one who withholds justice, that it is not generally within their character to do otherwise? Justice begins when you realize that it is your right to have it. Freedom begins first with accepting who you are. Joy and love will arise when you realize that they are your natural state and that they always exist somewhere within you. We understand that for many of you these words seem untrue and that you are committed to fighting for those who have oppressed to be held accountable for what they have done. However, we want to ask you that if all truly stems from individual choice, how can there ever be anything other than that which you have chosen? When you decide to turn and decide to find the others who choose love, the others who choose freedom, the others who choose self-empowerment and joy and abundance, then you will begin to see the power of your vibration as individuals and as a collective. You will begin to see that when a chorus of a million sing the same song, that those who would sing a note of disharmony will eventually be drowned out and will choose either to leave or to change their tune and sing along with you. The only thing that you have to do is continue to focus on the glory of the song that brings your heart joy, and the universe will rearrange itself to bring you to others who sing the same song. When you let the perceptions of your physical bodies and your place in the illusion of a societal hierarchy define who you are, you do yourself a disservice by not allowing the fullness of who you truly are to come into being. Forget what you see and begin to focus on what you feel. Care for yourselves first and then do what you can to care for others. Focus not on the tactics of those who would keep you locked in fear and anxiety. Focus on raising your vibrations of love and light. It is quite simple, dear ones. If it makes you feel small and afraid, then it is not good for your soul. You need not justify or explain why you make a choice. If it feels right and true in your heart, then it is right and true for you. For you have, as all have, chosen to live this life so that you can learn what you most wanted to learn. It is only when you refuse to learn the lesson that things become tangled and confused. Our friend, our brother, our scribe had a thought the other day that illustrates exactly what we wish to convey to you today. Fear and freedom are antithetical to one another. Those who are intent upon keeping you locked in fear are not truly interested in seeing you free. When you are free, there is nothing to fear, and when you are afraid, you can never be free. Live from your hearts, dear ones. Forget the illusions of the past and begin to live now as you wish to see others live. Your light of love and freedom and joy will stand as a bright beacon to show the way for others to do the same. In love and light we leave you. Rejoice. The Lighted Ones. Channeled by Andrew Martin. www.andrewmartinartist.com